Donald Trump was finally asked a decent question about his idea to build a wall and have Mexico pay for it. This is Bob Woodward asking him here. Let's watch.
There are so many ways that Mexico makes money with us, Bob. There are so many different ways, 5 in particular, that we will take it out of
I'm
there
sorry to press
if they
on
don't
this,
agree
but
to it.
how would you grab that money if they say no? Would you be willing to go to war to make sure we get the money to pay for this wall?
Trust me, Bob, when I rejuvenate our military, Mexico's not going to be playing with us with war. That I can tell you. Mexico's not playing with us with war. Look, I have great relationships with the Mexican people. You've been seeing I'm winning every single poll in these primaries when they go out, when the polls come back in with the Hispanics. I have thousands of Hispanics that work for me, and over the years, tens of thousands that have worked for me over the years. I will tell you that the problem our country has is that our leaders are so weak. We have so many ways of getting the money to build the wall.
Okay. That segment goes on for a while there, and at no point do you get a coherent answer. So Bob Woodward asked him, and he pressed him. He started with, this is before the clip that you saw, but he starts with, Donald, what's your plan to get them to pay for it? I know you keep saying that they're going to pay for it, but you have the former president and the current president coming out. They're saying they're not paying for it. So what do you do if you want them to pay for it, and it's a sovereign nation, but they don't want to pay for it? And Donald's like, there's many ways to do so, specifically 5. Again, the entire segment, does he actually give 5 reasons? No, he doesn't give one coherent reason. But he goes on to say, well, for example, we have a trade deficit. There's a trade deficit between the U.S. and Mexico, and so you get them to pay for it. And Bob Woodward's like, what does that mean? Like, that's not a thing. You don't just, how do they pay for it? We got a trade deficit with them. And then, so what are you saying? What does that mean? Well, you got a trade deficit, and then you make them pay for it. There's no logical connection. You just said 2 separate things. That doesn't mean anything. We had a trade deficit, therefore they'll pay for it. That doesn't make any sense. And then he goes like, well, yeah, subsidies, something. I don't know. We subsidize the hell out of them. What? What are you saying? Look up, U.S. subsidies to Mexico. 1 million articles come up. You know what the articles are about? About how our corn subsidies to our own farmers are putting their farmers out of business. This idea that it's like, well, subsidies, obviously, we get them to pay for it because we do subsidies, and then what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. You're wrong. There's nothing there. There's no substance there. There's no there. You're just saying words. I don't know, trade deficit, subsidies, something. Well, they'll pay, make them pay. They're telling you they're not going to pay. What do you mean? It's a sovereign nation. They're saying they're not going to pay. You can't just make a sovereign nation do some shit unless, as Woodward points out, would you be willing to go to war with them over the wall to make them pay for a wall? And he's like, believe me, when I beef up the military, they're going to want nothing to do with war. What? So first of all, our military already, obviously, it's amazing I have to even say this for a duncehead like Donald Trump. Our military is already gargantuan compared to Mexico. Our military is gargantuan compared to the next 9 biggest militaries, and most of them are our allies. We have a gigantic military. There's no question about that. But he's like, he'll beef it up more, of course, because, we got to waste even more money on this bloated military-industrial complex. And he says, well, they wouldn't mess with us. Then they do it. So are you saying that you would threaten them? Like, if you don't build a wall, I will invade you. Okay, guys, this is not funny anymore because, in all seriousness, so, everybody would laugh at the idea, mock it. It's so stupid. What are you talking about? The U.S. going to war with Mexico today? That's ridiculous. If there was any one person in the entire United States of America who maybe would do that, who would it be? It might be Donald Trump. The one person where there's a 1% chance where he's in a bad mood. He speaks to them. They go, no, we're not going to build a wall. He's like, okay, we're invading you. He's like the one dude where there's a chance of that. There's a chance of that. In all seriousness, do you trust that guy with nuclear weapons? We've seen his temperament. We've seen who he is. He can't take fucking criticism in any way. If he gets into a beef with some nation, I think he would be so quick to use force and to put us in the worst situations imaginable. This isn't a safe thing we're talking about here, man. This is really scary. Like, that guy should not have any power. I mean, fucking Mitt Romney came out the other day and gave a speech talking about how Trump's a failed businessman. Look at all these products that failed. Trump vodka, Trump steaks, Trump magazine. And he's right about all that stuff. He went bankrupt. His companies went bankrupt 4 times. So what does Trump do? After he won the most recent set of elections, of course, he comes out and he's like, he brought steaks with him. He brought magazines with him. He brought water because he has a water company. And he's like, see, I don't know what Mitt Romney's talking about. We got all these great things still here. Look, there's a Trump steak right there. It wasn't even a Trump steak. They don't make Trump steaks anymore. Trump steaks were only sold at the Sharper Image. They were his specific brand of steaks. You know what they did? They just got steaks from one of his facilities, whether it's golf course, restaurant, whatever. And they're like, see, Trump steaks. That's not the same Trump steaks you were talking about then. That's just a steak that happens to be sold at a Trump facility. It's not the same thing. But he's like, nope, see, Trump steaks, successful. The water company, people looked back into that and they figured out how he did it. There's a factory that's a bottled water factory that gives people the option, oh, you can put your own label on it. That's what he does. It's not literally his own water company. This guy's unbelievable. The magazine, he showed a magazine, he said it's Trump magazine. It wasn't even Trump magazine. It was a magazine that he has at one of his Trump facilities. He's like, see, Trump magazine is doing well. This is a child running for office, and he's winning. Do you really want to take a chance of him starting some sort of confrontation with Mexico? Really? Do you want to do that? Do you want to take a chance of him literally saying, we will not allow any more Muslims into the country? Period. Do you really want to take a chance with this guy moving us in the direction of torture more and more? Do you really want to take a chance with him literally targeting terrorist families in the Middle East? So, in other words, targeting civilians in the Middle East. Do you really want to take a chance with that? The guy's the most obvious con man on planet Earth, and somehow he's leading. This is beyond pathetic.